Hi guys, Asimo here, and today I wanted to make a video about a great new feature that appeared on Craft of Exile. Craft of Exile is a website that I keep recommending people when I get asked questions about crafting, and recently I've been getting a lot of questions about, hey Asimo, you have this bow, how did you craft the bow, how do I craft this thing, how would you finish this item, like what item level do I need for this. I always recommend people to check out Craft of Exile to learn more about crafting, and now it's easier than ever. With this new feature they introduced, which is the emulator, you're going to be able to basically pretend craft without having to spend your currency, without having access to all of these expensive crafts like some of the harvest crafts and so on. And you can basically figure out how to make an item step by step by yourself without having to brick an item just to learn, right? So you're gonna be able to like brick an item, pretend with pretend currency without having to spend it. So I'm gonna explain how this tool works by using an example of this helmet. So this is a helmet that I will probably be crafting for my Fire BV Occultist. This has +1 to power charges, T1 life, crit multiplier, nearby enemies have negative life, like minus to fire res, some resistance on it, and more ES and life. So this is very good helmet for something like Fire BV. And this is what we're gonna be crafting. So we're gonna start from scratch, and I'm gonna show you exactly how do you craft items in this emulator and what can you do in it. So first of all, you're gonna be picking a type of an item. So we pick a helmet, right? Helmet, the hubris circlet, that's an int base. So we pick the hubris circlet because it has the most energy shield, as you can see here. So since we're not gonna be increasing energy shield too much on it, we just want some extra energy shield, we're gonna be picking the hubris circlet. And then normally I think we need like at least item level 85, but you can always check that in the calculator, right? We set quality to level to 30, and then we're gonna need warlord influence, right, for some of these mods, because as you can see there's a prefix modifier warlords, and then we've got also warlords crit multi, and we've got nearby enemies have negative like minus fire res is also warlords. So we've got 3 warlord modifiers on this item, and they're fairly easy to put on that item except for one of them, which is why we're gonna have to start with that one. So warlord is the influence we want. I'll probably be looking for like an enchanted hubris circlet of the right item level, and then I'll be slamming warlord unless I can find one that is enchanted for cheaper with the influence. But usually if it's like influence and it's enchanted with the specific enchant you want, it's probably easier to actually just slam an exalt instead of like paying multiple exalts extra for that. So we click proceed, and this is our base item. And here we can see all of the basic currencies. So you can just normally like, I can just transmute that, I can scour that, I can alch it. There's all kinds of things. We hit tier 1 life, that's very nice, and tier 1 ES mana, okay. So this is how you craft this, right? You have the basic currencies, you have these orbs, right? You have the Hunter and Redeemer and so on. You have Maven Orb, you have Val Orb, you have fossils, so you can like select all kinds of different fossils and craft with a combination of them. You got the Harvest Crafts, which there's a lot of them. You have the Essences, you have the Catalysts, Beast Crafting, and also the Corrupting from the Temple, right? So the first thing that we're gonna have to do is roll this modifier. We're gonna have to roll the +1 to maximum power charges because it doesn't have any other tags. As you can see, this modifier has the critical tag, and this modifier has the elemental and fire tag, right? Well, this is, and also resistance, but yeah, this has like fire tag. So we're gonna be able to put them and force them on later, but this one doesn't. So we need to like randomly roll that, right? Or like influence roll that, but randomly rolling it is gonna be what we have to do here. So we would have to like transmute that, and then we would have to alteration spam until we found that one, right? So we need to like spam alterations, and we can skip this process by simply selecting the mod from here. So this is I think a prefix +1 to maximum power charges, and then we can click on the plus to just add it to an item so that we avoid spamming the alterations. If you want to check how many alterations it would take, you would go to the calculator, right? So let's maybe check that just so that we know. So we would go again, hubris circlet, and then we would select the influence that we want, so warlord. Then we would select the mod that we want. So this is the one mod that we want. And then we would select alterations. So about 1,000 alterations, okay? So about 1,000 alterations is what it would take to hit that mod. This is a very difficult mod to hit, and you would have to like spam the hell out of that item. But you can certainly hit it on its own, and it's gonna cost you definitely some time and money, but there's like no great other way of forcing it unless you wanna like use fossils and block other mods. Like if you use fossils and block life, defense, and elemental, then you'd have a pretty high chance. We can check how to do that as well, right? If instead of this method, we're gonna use fossils and we're gonna use this one to block the elemental, we're gonna use where is it, prismatic, pristine to block defenses, and then we're gonna use dense to block life. Then if we compute the best selection, let's see how much it would take. So this thing would take like a lot of chaos. This thing would take similar, actually it shows the same amount of chaos, but it would take like 400 tries with that, okay? So we know that we need to force that mod first, so that's how you would do it first. Once you do that, that's the difficult part of the item, right? After that, well, you also need to make sure that it doesn't have any mods that we don't want on it, right? So we would do something like regal this item because we need to turn it into a rare. We regal this item, perfect. Fire res, we can modify that however we want. This is perfectly good. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are able to force the other mods. So we have to either fill in the prefixes or fill in the suffixes. So what we could do, for example, is to multicraft on this item, or we could put another fire modifier. So we could, for example, do harvest crafting, augment, fire, and then we have a chance of hitting a prefix or a suffix, right? So once we do that, we hit the prefix. If we do it again, now we are guaranteed the -9 mana res. So we do that. We have the -9 mana res, and now we have this modifier that can be changed by the physical tag, right? So we can do annul, physical, from the harvest again, bam, it's gone. Now we added this, and it was like a deterministic way of easily adding that, right? Because there were only like 3 fire mods, right? Let me remove the fossil thing. Let's see, let's remove those. Okay, so as you can see, there's only this fire mod, and this one. So once you have like all prefixes full or all this mod already on, and then the fire res, then the next augment will be guaranteed to be this, no matter how low the chance of it normally is, right? So that's how you force certain mods on. After that, we can put another suffix on it, right? So we can put the suffix of the crit, and there are no other crit modifiers. As you can see, there is nothing here with the crit tags except for the global crit multiplier, so that is extremely easy. We just harvest craft, augment, crit, right? So we do that, and there we go. And if we don't like that one, we can do reroll crit, so like remove crit, add crit, until we hit tier 1. So we do this, can take a few times. There we go. We got a tier 1 crit multi on this helmet as well, completely deterministically. Then if we want to add our prefixes, we can do something like, for example, augment life. That will let us augment life, and then we can replace life until we get the one that we want. Let's say we're happy with T2 life, okay? That's a pretty good roll considering how good this item is already. And you could keep re-rolling the life until you get a tier 1 life roll. And then you can, for example, craft something from the bench. For the last mod, you can craft a prefix that will give you like life and ES, so energy shield, increase energy shield, maximum life, something like that would be perfectly fine on this one. We got increased energy shield, maximum life, and then this fire resistance, we could change it. I don't know if they have it here. I think this is the one thing that wasn't added necessarily, right? Like non-type. Yeah, there is one other harvest craft that I think is not here, which is changing a resistance to a resistance of another type. So you can harvest craft resistance. For example, we can switch the fire one to cold in order to reroll it, right? So right now when we have this thing and we have this nearby enemies have -9 fire res, if we click on remove fire, add fire, it's gonna sometimes like remove this modifier and put it on again, right? So we're gonna lose the ability to reroll that. Also, if we're like not on this stage and we have other like empty prefix or something, it could like remove it and put a prefix with fire tag instead. So we don't want to do that, and we would want to like grab this mod and replace it. So let's see, we got suffix from the mod pool. So we have, where is it? Where is the suffix? Suffix here, fire res. So we would normally remove this fire res, switch it to another res, right? So instead of fire res, we would put like, let's say cold res, right? And then let's say it was like really bad one as well, right? Because it would give you the similar tier, and you can simply replace cold with cold, right? And you can do that as long as you want. And let's say we're happy, we hit T1, okay? And there you go, we got our item. We got like big life ES on this, we got cold res. You can put other stuff on it as well. There are different ways of crafting this, but that's like a basic way. You can craft an absolutely insane helmet actually for the fire BV, right? Because you get like power charge, crit multi, negative like resistances, and you can get like big life, res, and ES on that. So that's how you use this. There are so many different things. Let's double corrupt it for fun, okay? Let's see, double corrupted, let's see what happens. Poof, the item disappeared, okay? So you can brick your items in the pretend world of this emulator, and this is a very, very useful tool. If you don't understand much about crafting, the combination of this section of the calculator showing you different mods on an item that are available and all of their tags very, very easily and clearly, with this emulator where you can actually have an item that you can just craft on and see what happens, is extremely helpful. And I'm definitely going to be recommending for people to check it out when they want to craft something. And if you're crafting something super, super, super expensive, like for example, I'm planning on crafting an insane bow that I'll be talking about in the future videos when I play the build that uses that bow, which is going to be like arc miner. It's like a bow for an arc miner. Then definitely I'm going to use this and simulate it and make sure that I understand what I do. And also it's easy to estimate the cost, because you can like sum it up, like do like a pretend craft, see how many of these currencies you used, and the cost here is not accurate because it's not accounting for these like harvest crafts, but you can add it all up and see how much an item like that would cost you. And then for example, if you can see, okay, I got pretty lucky and I crafted it easily, and then it still cost 50x, and someone is selling that for 45x, in that case it's pretty much just better to buy the item, right? But if it's like, if the item is like 100x and you can craft it in 50 according to this, right, and you did all the math correctly, then it's probably better to craft it. So you can figure out like an approximate cost of an item through this as well. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.